You spend the money, you make the plans, you take the vacation, and it's a disaster. Yes, it does happen. Here are the top mistakes that ruin vacations and how you can avoid them. They're all important, and I'm going to go through them pretty quickly, so stick around and hit subscribe to keep these travel tips and hacks coming. Let's jump right in with number one, which is poor planning. Don't roll your eyes. I know this sounds like an obvious one, but it happens all the time. You may have your location picked out and your tickets purchased, but there are a few other things you need to research, like where exactly is your lodging located? It's super exciting when you find a cheap hotel or a cool Airbnb in a city you've never been to before, but trust me, in every city, there are neighborhoods you don't want to stay in. So before you lock in with a hotel or a home, check out the neighborhood. Also, weather conditions. Check this out within a week of your trip because a week or two in Ireland with nonstop rain is no fun if you didn't plan and pack for it. Also, visa requirements, passport expiration dates, all the legalities. Give yourself plenty of time before your trip to research and meet the legal needs of wherever you're going because the government doesn't care that you already bought your plane tickets. If your passport's expired, you're not going. And in a lot of places, I know here in America, the visa and the passport offices are really backed up, so this could take as much as 6 months. Number two, overscheduling. This has ruined many a trip. It may sound like champagne problems, but if you've planned out every second of every day, you're almost guaranteed to be exhausted, cranky, and you can even waste a lot of money. I've bought tickets to events that we didn't go to because I overscheduled and the rest of the family didn't want to keep going. Fitting too many activities or destinations into a short period of time will make for a memorable trip, but for all the wrong reasons. If it's a longer vacation, consider leaving a day or two where you don't plan anything at all. If it's a shorter trip, plan just one activity because you're likely to find other things that you want to explore on your way to and from that activity. Along these lines, flexibility is key. The plans you do make could change. My husband and I were so excited to explore Belfast when we went there a few years ago, and the one day we were there happened to be the day of their international marathon. Streets were closed down, the tour we had already booked was canceled the night before, and because there were a lot of people in town, all of the restaurants were packed. That was poor planning and trying to cram too much into a quick vacation. Not spending time on a budget or completely ignoring the one that you did make can lead to a very expensive trip, which leads to stress that lasts long after your vacation does. This should happen in the early vacation planning stages. Look at all the essential expenses like lodging, travel, food, activities, and do a real cost analysis. Check out my YouTube video, Budget Planning Tips, to put together a realistic budget so that your vacation is smooth and not stressful. Think about safety before your trip. I know it sounds negative and nobody really wants to do this, but it's a good idea to research the top crimes in the place you're going and how to avoid being the victim of them. One of the most common safety problems tourists face is theft. Thieves often target tourist destinations because they know that visitors are going there, they have extra cash, and they have passports on them. If you get your passport stolen, you're going to spend the rest of your trip figuring out how to get back home, and that's not fun. Along with safety comes health. Research shows that between 15 and 37% of international travelers experience a health problem on vacation, and 20% of vacationers in general get sick or have an accident or suffer some kind of injury. What a huge bummer. Do what you can ahead of time to make sure you stay healthy. The World Health Organization and the Centers for Disease Control can give you information on the place you're going and if you'll need vaccinations, if there are problems with the drinking water, if there are disease outbreaks, and a whole lot more. You don't want to spend your trip sick or bring home an unwanted souvenir. And along those lines, remember to bring your medication because in some countries, you won't be able to get a prescription refill if you forget yours at home. My next tip, learn some language basics. Language barriers can make an international trip a lot less fun, and there are so many resources now, including translation apps that'll help you translate on the spot when you're abroad, that there's no need to have this problem. I've always made it a rule when I'm going to another country whose primary language is not English to learn some basic and essential phrases. That includes basic greetings, how to ask, what does this cost, or which way to the bathrooms. These things can be really helpful just to know a few phrases. Numbers, currency, common foods, and knowing how to say, do you speak English? They can be game changers. And while you're at it, Make sure you know the basic customs of the place that you're headed to so you don't accidentally offend anyone or get yourself banned from somewhere that you really want to go. In addition to making you a little more confident in another country, if you show that you respect their culture and you're attempting to speak their language, even if it's a feeble attempt, people tend to appreciate that so much more than a tourist who comes into their area expecting that everyone else is going to speak their language. A few nuts and bolts to wrap up. Check ahead of time on things like whether your phone carrier has an international plan that covers cellular and data, because it can be really expensive to get a surprise bill when you get back home. A lot of phone companies have a short-term international option. Just call ahead. Wi-Fi, if it's important to you and you have to have it, like for work or even for navigation when you're out of town, make sure to check in advance whether your lodging has reliable Wi-Fi. And the reliable part is really important because not all Wi-Fi is built the same. There are also portable Wi-Fi hotspots that you can buy in advance that come preloaded with global data. Just do some planning before your trip because some of them are definitely better than others. Travel insurance is another thing that's easy to overlook, but can really save you if anything comes up. If your luggage is lost, ours was lost for 2 weeks last summer when we went to Europe, and our insurance helped cover the expense. Or if flights are canceled or someone gets sick, it's really tough to think of dishing out extra money when you're planning a vacation, but it's kind of like wearing your seatbelt. Chances are you're going to be fine, but if you wait until you really need it, it's going to be too late, and then you'll be in trouble. Not packing well can be more than just an inconvenience if you think you're headed somewhere warm and you actually need a jacket. More often, people overpack, and that can lead to extra baggage fees, not to mention a harder time navigating airports and Ubers, and just the hassle of carrying extra items and remembering to repack, especially if you're going to multiple locations. Packing light with layers can save you in so many ways. Just as I've said many times already, make sure you plan ahead. Pick out outfits that mix and match so you only need a few pieces. Some of this might sound obvious, but all of them have ruined many, many vacations, including some of my own. If you plan ahead to avoid these most common travel pitfalls, I promise you'll have a less stressful, more fun vacation, and you'll probably save some cash and some headaches as well. That's all for this time. Don't forget to hit subscribe and keep coming back for more travel hacks. Also, drop me a comment below if you've experienced a common travel mistake that I didn't include. I'd love to hear from you. Ciao, friends. Thanks for watching.